What's up YouTube, it's Deanna from Windy City Vape Reviews, and today I'm going to show you how to do a simple dual coil build. We're going to do a 5-wrap 26 gauge Canthal build on my Plume Veil Clone RDA, and then we'll take it back up top, take it for a vape, and show you just how easy it is. So stay tuned. Okay, I am going to attempt my first ever coil build on film. It's a little harder to do than I expected, so I'll try to do my best. So a couple things that you're going to need. A nice flush set of wire cutters. As you can see, one side is going to be curved in and then the other side is going to be flush, and that's just to help get as close as possible to our wires so that they don't touch the other coil and short out on us. You're also going to need a pair of tweezers. Now you can use the ceramic coated, you don't have to, you just got to make sure you do not squeeze while you're firing. And I don't have a coil jig, I just use a tiny little screwdriver. This is a 2.4 millimeter. No, I lied, this is actually a 3.0 millimeter. And a pair of scissors, some cotton or some kind of wicking. I happen to prefer the Japanese cotton, the organic Japanese cotton, and this cotton bacon is actually super easy to use, wicks up beautifully, don't have any issues with them. You're also going to need some wire. We're using the Canthal wire from UD, and it's a 26 gauge. And then, of course, your RDA and ohms reader. Now, I don't always use my ohm meter, and I know that's bad. I typically rely on my box mods, only because I had some issues with this eLeaf one. This little connector here sometimes gets stuck, and it's a pain in the butt. So until I get a new one, I'm probably going to continue using my mods, but for the purpose of this video, I will use the eLeaf, and then we'll compare it and see how it actually does on the mod. So, just going to cut off some wire, try to straighten it out as much as possible. I don't have a drill handy, so I'm just going to kind of pull it through my fingers and cut off. Scissors are not going to do the job. And then I will take another piece about the same length. I usually cut off way more than I need. You know, it's relatively inexpensive, so I don't worry that I'm going to be using too much. I try to hold the wire on the spool because it will start to unravel and smack around. I have gotten whipped by the wire once or twice in my life. It's not fun. Alright, so to start the coil, all you're going to do is hold the wire up against the screwdriver with your thumb. Please forgive my nails, they are in horrible condition, I know. We're going to take the wire to the back and wrap it around one time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You could probably actually make 2 coils out of this one piece of wire, but that's alright. Then we're going to straighten them out. You want to try to wrap them as tightly as possible up against each other without actually overlapping. You can see it's not the best looking right now, but we will take care of that. You can kind of take your fingers. That's a nice thing about having this little ledge here. You can kind of push it and try to get it to straighten. I take it off, I flip it around, back on, do the same thing, and that just kind of helps get it as straight as possible. So this is what we have so far. Not the best looking coil, but not the worst considering I'm on camera. So I'm just gonna go ahead and snip one of the leads on this to make it shorter. And there you go, there's our coil. So I'm gonna put this back in. And another way, if you wanna try to really get them nice and straight and tight, I don't have it next to me, but you can take a pair of pliers and just kind of really pull on this wire pretty tight. I actually make homemade jewelry, so I happen to have a really nice set of tools to work with wire, but honestly you don't need anything extravagant or super expensive. It's much easier than it looks. Now when I do my coils, and I don't know if I'm doing this the right way, but I tend to do the one that goes over. So you see there's one that will go over and then one that kind of comes under. I usually put the over into the negative post. Get in the hole. And I put the coil in and I kind of try to center it up as best as I possibly can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 reps. Okay. And I kind of hold it in place. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm off camera. I kind of hold it in place with my thumb. And oops, grab my screwdriver. And then I screw it down. I don't do it necessarily as tight as I'm going to eventually want it to be. I just tighten it down. Oh, I'm tightening the wrong one. And tighten it down just a little bit for now. So it's pretty sturdy in place, but until I get it kind of where I really want it to be, I don't do it super tight. You can go in from the other side and straighten it up, pull it up and out. And so far we're not looking too bad, so I'm going to go ahead and crank it down now. And this one. Alright, so now you want to check to make sure, see that one's a little wiggly. This one's not too wiggly. And I think this is an issue with this actual screw on this one. I've had issues with it before coming loose. I typically prefer to have grub screws versus regular screws, but that's what it came with. So let me see if I can, if I move the wire around, the coil itself is not really moving, so we're doing pretty good. Straighten it back out again. Alright, I'm going to snip my wires, and I try to hold on to them while I'm cutting so they don't go flying everywhere and put people's eyes out. Most specifically mine. So the wires are actually pretty flush. My camera is not really focusing very well. Now that one's sticking out a little bit. So I'm going to go back and snip again. Just to get it close enough so that way when I get my second coil in, it's not going to be a problem. Alright, number 2. Same thing. Focus camera. 5 wraps, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You think you did as many as you did on the first one and you end up doing less or more. So I always like to double and triple check. So I'm going to go ahead and try to straighten this one out too. Flip it around, do it again. And let's see this one. This one may actually look even a little better. Yeah, not bad. I'm not the best coil builder, but I'm not the worst either. So get that back on here. He's just not cooperating with me. Alright. I'm going to cut this one. Now what I like to do when I'm putting in my second coil, I want to try to pre-measure just about where it's going to end and come out. It's much easier to cut it and get it down kind of small before you put it in so that you're not hitting your other coil. Sometimes I cut it too short, sometimes not short enough, and I have to take it out and do it again. I'm going to cut this one down too. I don't need to have it that long. Alright. So, in with the first one, slide it over, and sometimes it's a little trickier when you have a shorter wire than when you have a longer wire. I don't know why. There we go. It is in the hole. Alright. So, oh, I'm off camera again, I'm sorry. Trying to look through the lens and also above the lens because it's easier for me to see. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down just a tad. Just to get it secured. Let's see, it's pretty sturdy. So let's take a look. So when you put them in, you want to make sure your coils are about the same height. So I need to move this one up a little bit. Alright. Tighten it down more. Okay. And you want to be careful not to strip your screws either. That is obviously not fun. Alright. Now it's way too high. So we'll just pull it down just a tad. And when you put them in, you want to kind of line them up with where your airflow holes are going to end up. Open that up both sides. So when I put it on, the holes are just right about where the coil is. You can even go above the airflow holes just a tiny bit so that the air comes up underneath the coil. So I'm going to cut off this one now. I think that looks pretty good so far. Let me just double check that these are all nice and tight. They appear to be. Alright, so let's see. Oh, it's reading at a see, I don't know if there's something wrong with this thing. It's about a 0.49, 0.50. You can't really see it on screen, but that's what it is reading at, is a 0.50 right now. So, turn it off. And I'm going to put it on my device, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I have it on my Treebox Mini 75 watt TC mod. And see on here, it is reading at a 0.38, and I tend to believe my device more than I do my little ohm reader because I just seem to have not had anything but problems since I first got it, so I'm just going to go with this is correct. I'll back this down to about 50 watts really quickly. Alright, so the moment of truth. See how these things fire? Focus, camera, focus. So we had some hot spots and they're not actually going evenly. As you see, I am not hitting the fire button while I am doing this, so please do not do that at home. Make sure you keep your hands away, your fingers away from the fire button if you're going to squeeze your coils with regular tweezers. Alright, let's try this again. And you don't want to just hit it and start going right away. You want to pulse it a little bit just to kind of get it. So there, we're going a little more even. And another way to try to get it to heat up evenly is just to kind of strum it. Now we're heating up a little more evenly. Going from the center out, which is what we want. Alright, so let me just get these back to even again. I'm going to pull you up a little bit. There we go. And let me just tell you, if I can do this, anyone can do this. I mean, for me, it wasn't too bad because I do make jewelry. I have made my own jump rings before, so it's very similar to that. But honestly, it's not as hard as it looks. But if you feel like you're too intimidated to do this, you can always buy pre-made coils online now. They, lots of different websites sell them, different manufacturers, so honestly, you're going to be able to find some pre-made ones without a problem. So I just have my cotton bacon. You want to make sure that, you know, you're a little wider than what your hole's going to be. And I kind of take it and do a little twisty kind of thing. And I don't think I ever do this right, because when I see people do it online, they look like they do it so much better than I do. But you don't want it too tight. You don't want to pack it down super, super tight. You just kind of want to make it nice looking. And what I do is I just fold it in half and then cut it so that I have one for each coil. You want to make sure it's about the same thickness. That is the only thing that I've noticed with the cotton bacon. It does seem harder to get them to be the exact same thickness just because of the way it comes apart. Sometimes one side will be a little fatter than the other. Well, let me see if I can do this on camera. Alright, so just put it in and pull it through. You want it to be snug, but you don't want it to pull or distort your coil at all. I tend to like a lot of wicking in mine, especially with this little Plumeveil Clone RDA. I tend to over drip on this thing like you would not believe. So the more cotton I have in there, the more it absorbs and the less I over drip. So just go ahead and do the same thing on this side. And you also want to make sure that you've let it cool down enough so that you're not burning your fingers. I typically like it a little bit tighter than this is right now, but it's going to be fine. And then I try to fluff it back out a tiny bit. And then we're going to cut it, again, because I like a lot extra. A lot of people will cut it right to the edge of the deck, but I'm going to go a little bit more than that because this deck is fairly large. I do have a lot of room to fit the cotton in. So it's not going to be that much of an issue. Get off. Alright, so let me, and then you might knock your other mods over, you know. Alright, I have little teeny tiny tweezers that I normally use, but of course I don't, I'm so unorganized. Alright, so I just kind of fluff up my ends a little bit. And then fold them under. And when you pack it in, you don't want to like over pack it too tight, because you do want air to get in, so that way you know, you get air to your coils, and you get a nice airy draw. So I'm packing it in, but I'm leaving a space underneath the coil for airflow. Now the other side, we'll do the same exact thing. And I might have a little bit more cotton than I normally do, but it's all good for me. Some people like less, some people like it where it's just barely touching the deck, and that's fine too. You know, whatever works for you, whatever you feel like is the best vape for you, do it. You know, there's no wrong or right, and honestly, as long as it's working and you're getting a good cloud production and good flavor, then it's right. Alright. It sucks when the camera's not focusing. Alright. So, now it's all wicked. And ready for some juice. So I'm going to take it back up top, and I will get it juiced up and show you how it vapes. So I'm just getting it juiced up with some AZ Swag Sauce Strawberry Milkshake. This stuff is fantastic. I did do a review on this, so if you want to go check that out, I'll put a link in the description below. And let's take this for a vape. Now it's still reading in a 0.38 ohms, which is good. Sometimes after you wick it, the reading, you know, your ohms could go up or down a little bit, but this still stayed at a 0.38. Awesome. Great cloud production. Flavor is fantastic. You don't need to build super low to get really good flavor and decent clouds. You know, the 0.38, that's not a super low build. I have built lower, but for me, this is pretty good. So that was our first DIY coil build on camera, and it actually worked. I'm so excited. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you did see it's not as hard as a lot of people think that it is. I was pretty intimidated my first time, and I was intimidated to do this on camera for the first time too. So, you know, if I could do it on camera, you can do it at home by yourself. So again, all you need are a couple basic supplies, and you'll be on your way to building your own coils and vaping on RDAs. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to see more upcoming vaping related news and reviews. But until next time, I hope you have a great day, and keep calm and vape on.